There is this myth that the only healthy churches are large churches or growing churches. I'm Chad Brooks. I'm the Congregational Strategist in the Louisiana Conference of United Methodist Church. And church size doesn't really have anything to do with health. Now, that can seem a little different, a little crazy. And I'm going to give you another crazy thing too. Neither does growth. Kind of. I say all that to say is I hear churches and I work with churches and see churches that are normal sized, around 60, 70, 80 people. This is the normal sized church in the United States right now. And they feel like they're doing a bad job because there's this big church down the street that just is hundreds and hundreds of people, and they feel like since they're not that they're not doing well at all. I love alleviating that anxiety and having that conversation. One of the ways I do this is with a figure that's called missional saturation. What that pretty much just means is, what percentage of the mission field is the congregation on Sunday morning? Because here's the deal. I'll get calls and we'll go to churches a lot that are normal size, 50, 60, 70 people, and they feel like they're doing a horrible job, but they're in a mission field of 2,000. Like they're doing, pretty good, even compared to the rest of the churches around them. And so this idea of you have to be growing or you have to be big to be healthy, it grinds my gears a little bit because it's just not true. Churches are going to struggle with vitality at any size, and regardless of the size church you're in, or even these ideas of size categories. There's a such thing as a healthy church at that size, and a such thing as an unhealthy church at that size. And depending on your missional saturation, you might just be doing fine, and you can just get this growth monster off of your back. This bottom line is the indicator of struggle. So if you have a church of any size, I know it could be a church of 2,000 people, but they're not doing well. That means they're inside this category that I call unstable. That means that ministry doing it as you're doing right now is actually detrimental and unhealthy to the church. The next size is stable. And a stable church is just that. They're not declining, they're not growing. And depending on what makes them stable, it could be a healthy thing. They could have worked really, really hard to get to stable. They're doing all right for right now, or they could have declined rapidly and they made tough decisions about downsizing things and selling property and cutting budgets and letting go of staff members and all this, and they've right-sized themselves into stability from being unstable. And there's two more categories after that. A vital church and a sustainable church. And I'm not going to really talk that much about those, but vital churches or sustainable churches, they're growing in size, they're growing in scope, or they're growing in influence. Even if the church is actually, using missional saturation, is at like a cap level almost for their community, they can then still grow in their scope of ministry. They can still grow in their influence around them. That healthy does not mean just a simple numerical increase. So if this whole thing just sounds curious or interesting, I actually wrote a book. It's called Is My Church Healthy? It's about this thing I have called the Vitality Matrix that we use with the churches we work with here in Louisiana. It's perfect for whatever size church you're in, and it really focuses on that journey from unstable to stable. So if you're curious about this book, you can pick up a copy on Amazon, and would love to interact with you on the internet.